I'm Vaughn Purdy. Welcome to this special edition of Falcon Focus. Recently, Simmons College of Kentucky was able to reclaim a piece of its history. Through the vision of our former board chair, Barney Cecil Barnett, Simmons College renovated and rededicated our Axton Hall. This historic moment will help lead our students to an even better future. Here are some highlights from this historic day. Enjoy.
Frank Smith, and Executive Vice President, Simmons College. I want to welcome each of you to this momentous occasion wherein we acknowledge triumph and victory. It would be easy to think that this campus and building is what is to be celebrated, and rightly so. But let me take you back to 1930, when disappointment fell upon the General Association of Baptists in Kentucky, was impacted by the economic downturn of the Great Depression. Just 6 years earlier, Samuel Plato, nationally renowned black architect and Simmons University graduate, accomplished the complete and classroom building on our original campus, now known as Stewart Hall. The mortgage that remained on that property was being well serviced by the continuous contributions of the General Association churches. But because black people were not included in the nation's wealth distribution, there were not sufficient resources to sustain what was owed once the Great Depression came. And as a result, the university had to come to terms with the decision to surrender its campus, with the University of Louisville ultimately acquiring it and making it its segregated campus for blacks, known as Louisville College. Not only that, but the university was unjustly its president, Dr. Raymond Kent, that the only curriculum that could continue for Simmons University would be theological studies. Simmons University, having had multiple curriculum options ranging from law to medicine to nursing, faced the shadowy season of transition. But this people of triumph left with that one string on the violin, that string being called God, and began its campus home in the building now demolished, Colored Orphans Home. It was not long that a special audacious banner was made and strung across the columns of that building. And with tenacious strength and determination, that banner saying, Simmons University, standing on the front steps of that building, adorned with their academic, declared by their faith, we may be moved to this location. We may be a victim of being excluded from wealth to retain our campus, which we develop. We may be placed in a facility that has been known to house fatherless children, but this banner hangs above our head, Simmons University, because our faith declares that in spite of this matter, that we do have a Father. We have a Heavenly Father, and our Father loves us, His children, and our Father has not forsaken or forgotten us. Our Father loves us, and we will wait on our Father, and we will not close our doors. We will continue to teach. We will prepare students. We will carry out our mission, and we will not give up.
All right. Come on, Frank.
Those university trustees and administrators and faculty kept Samuel Plato's phone number close. And over the course of 19 years, God blessed him to be on call and ready to make plans for their new facility, a facility that would have two front wings sticking out in the front and windows with half-moon circles over them, and a facility that would have a comparable square footage to the last building he erected in 1924 for Simmons. With the kind and generous recurring and sacrificial gifts of the General Association churches, and with the significant contribution of Mr. Woodford Fitch Axton, who passed away in 1935, resources were in place to build this, the in 1950. Pictures on the inside of this building will show the opening day and the triumph of a people who worked their faith and who were blessed to move out of the original colored orphans' home into a building of grandeur and splendor that reflected the Father's provision. And we have come to this place today to honor that legacy, to acknowledge this new era of triumph for this great historically black institution of higher education, with a time of celebration, appreciation, and excitement that by the grace of God, another special man saw the continued vision of this great institution and seized upon the golden opportunity to pledge to support, to help a people, and to uplift a college hard at work to build upon the historical victory and to preserve this significant part of Simmons history known as Axton.
So we, as Metro Council members, get to proclaim things. And so today is a very, very special day. So we have a proclamation, and I need President Cosby to come here to receive the proclamation that Councilwoman Sexton Smith is going to present him, who also is a board member of Simmons, proud board member. And this is what it says. It says, "To whom these letters shall come greetings, know ye that the Louisville Metro Council hereby recognizes the Barnett campus dedication. Whereas in 1879, the state of Kentucky established the Kentucky Normal and Theological Institute to educate its black students. Subsequently, the leaders of the college changed the name of the college to Simmons University in 1918. Simmons Bible College in 1949, and then in 2007, named the college as it stands today to Simmons College of Kentucky. And whereas in 1934, due to the financial hardships of the Great Depression, the college was forced to sell its original campus located at 7th and Kentucky Streets, the University of Louisville purchased the 7th Street campus to house its college, Municipal College, designated to educate its black students. Simmons consequently relocated to 18th and Dumanel Streets. The former location of the Colored Orphans Home, about 2.5 miles west of the original site. And whereas Samuel Plato, the well-known African-American architect and Simmons alumnus, designed a new one-story brick building to replace the Colored Orphans Home building. And whereas in 1949, this historic structure became Simmons University and operated as a Bible college between 1949 and 2007. The primary structure was called Axton Hall because of the outstanding and vital financial support of Wood F. Axton. And whereas in 2016, Wood F. Axton Hall was designated on the Register of Historic Places, and in its new revitalized state completed in October 2020, will continue as a mainstay in the community. And whereas this historic campus is hereby declared the Barnett campus because of the abiding commitment and prodigies, financial support, and Mr. Cecil C. Barney Barnett, a true partner dedicated to building of Simmons College of Kentucky, his wife, Jillian Barnett, and the entire Barnett family. Whereas the Barnett campus is designed to serve the students of Simmons College of Kentucky and enrich the local community through education to reverse the neighborhood effect of poverty and disenfranchisement. Whereas this facility, hereby known as Axton Hall, will be the hub of the Barnett campus. Now therefore it be resolved that the Louisville Metro Council we hereby confer and pay tribute by way of this proclamation with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining. In testimony, we have caused these letters to be made in the seal of Metro Louisville government to be affixed, done in Louisville, Kentucky, at City Hall within the Commonwealth of Kentucky the 26th day of October 2020. Signed, Louisville Metro Council.
Something that I heard Muhammad Ali say. Muhammad Ali said, the wise men say up in the hills, the best HBCU is in Louisville. That's my Ali quote for them. And you know what? That is true. Of the 101 HBCUs, no HBCU in American history has done so much in such a short period of time with so little. And the reason why we are the preeminent HBCU is because I can say this without fear of contradiction and without equivocation, that the city of Louisville is the preeminent city in these United States of America. The emergence of Simmons would not be possible if it were not for the goodwill of persons in this community, of resources, of means, of power and influence. Someone said on one occasion, I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of failure. But this is what I am afraid of. I'm afraid of succeeding in the things that don't matter. Unfortunately, in our city, we have people who are elected officials, like our mayor and David James, who has been with me as a partner in this endeavor from day one, both he and his lovely wife. And we've had corporate leaders who are concerned and are looking for ways to make a difference in our city. One of those corporate leaders is a man of tremendous intellect. We know him as such a congenial person that he is. Mark Lane is one of the most congenial people you will ever meet in your life. But he is a thinker. He's an intellect. He's a scholar. And he is a philanthropist in the truest sense of the word. During a difficult time in the history of the schools, when our beloved Barney Barnett transitioned, we needed someone to fill the gap. And it was Mr. Mark Lynn, who prior to being on the trustee board, gave a sizable donation to Simmons College of Kentucky. Sizable. He planted a seed. And then when we needed him, he served. And he didn't sit, he didn't seek to shine, wine, and recline. Instead, Mark served. He was here, he's still with us, and he's serving Simmons, and he's serving West Louisville. I'm going to hold him to something he said to me when it came to many years ago. He said, one day there will be a Vision Works in West of 9th Street. And one day we're going to make, I never forget that, Mark. But he served on our trustee board, and he's still our friend. And we want to pause to say thank you to Mr. Mark Lynn, who served with such distinction, with such sacrifice as the board chair of Simmons College of Kentucky. I'm going to ask our present chair to be the point at this time and say something, and we'd like to present something to him. Dr. Samuel Toby, Chairman of the Board of Trustees.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cosby, and to everyone assembled. I have traveled from Lake Charles, Louisiana, where there is a whole lot of destruction. To come here and to witness the reconstruction of this hall and this campus is exciting in the history of Simmons College. The National Baptist Convention of America located its headquarters here at Simmons College a few years back, We have embraced the vision of this president and this college. And because of that, I've served on the Board of Trustees and had an opportunity to serve with Mark Lynn, who has served as our chairman. And I want to congratulate him on the fine job that he did after the death of our previous chairman. So we're glad to have you here today, and we honor you and we thank you. And thank you, Dr. Cosby, for this moment. Dr. Lynn, you have assisted this institution in so today we present you something to remind you.
Wait until you go if he steps at the door.
We give you this in appreciation. You always do that. Say something.
Yeah, he does this to me all the time. You ever try to follow and talk behind these guys? It's an impossible thing to live. Now, I told Dr. Cosby years ago, and Chris Sanders, he's out there today, and Chris and I go way, way back. We won't even tell those stories. But how this school has maintained and succeeded and has grown over the years, it's truly an act of God. Because their boats don't carry it. There's no way it should be here. But it's here for a reason. It's here for a purpose. And with just a little bit of help from a lot of people, it can continue to thrive and to grow and to be that light we need right now. Thank you very much. It's a true honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lynn, and thank you, Dr. Tolbert, for your gracious words. At this time, we want to call on Miss Marlon Cole, if she would come. She is the executive director of Evolve 502, a former colleague of ours at Simmons, doing a great job with Evolve 502. Would you welcome at this time, Marlon Cole?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Dr. Cosby. We have all learned so much from you, what real service, dedication, and persistence means. And so I've learned a lot. I know we all have learned a lot, and we thank you for your leadership. It's a pleasure to join you all this afternoon for this special, very special occasion. Simmons College of Kentucky is experiencing a great renaissance and is taking its rightful place in the higher education space in our community. As Louisville's HBCU, and we've already heard why HBCUs are so important in our community, but Simmons provides a unique experience unlike any other institution in our city can. A stable, nurturing environment that celebrates the rich history of African Americans and supports all students, in particular first-generation college-going students, in a very special way. Evolve 502, our city's public-private partnership focused on growing the educational attainment of our community, is proud to partner with Simmons as we ensure that every child is prepared for college, career, and a successful, productive life. We are convening and collaborating with partner agencies to better link young people and families to resources and services so that we ensure that every child has the tools that they need to be successful. And we are working to remove the #1 barrier to a post-secondary education, cost, or the perception of cost, by offering free college to Simmons or any community and technical college for JCPS students, starting with the class of 2021. And for our lowest income students with family incomes of $40,000 or less, we will provide what we're calling an opportunity grant that will help with those other expenses and costs of attending college: housing, transportation, food in some cases, books, and other supports that are necessary to really maintain when life's emergencies hit. And if you have recently sent a child to college like I have, you will understand how important these expenses can be and how having this grant will be an important support. But we are offering much more than a scholarship. We are providing hope and promise to a population of students who have been left out or left behind in an educational system that does not work for all of us. We are changing the conversation taking place in the homes of our youth to say, yes, college should be and can be for me. If we are going to be a world-class city, if we are going to recruit business and retain business, if we are going to do more than talk about equity, and if we are truly understanding the cries in our streets for justice, then we must disrupt the systems that perpetuate inequality and invest in our people through education. Many individuals, as was mentioned earlier, have come and are stepping up in a big way to support education in our community. At Evolve, we have made the promise to the class of 2021, but it is our goal to make this promise to a full generation of students from kindergarten through the senior class. And it will take all of us coming together in support of our youth and entire community to bring about the transformational change that we all deserve and desire. Simmons and many others are stepping up and doing their part. We must all step up and continue to support these efforts. I want to thank Mary Gwen Wheeler and David Jones Jr. for giving leadership to Evolve 502 and helping in support of our fundraising campaign, as well as their tremendous support of Simmons over the years. I want to thank the Barnett family for all that you all are doing and for making this day possible. This is just beautiful, and I'm very moved to see this space with it is and be able to be utilized in the way that it's going to be able to in the future. And I want to congratulate Dr. Cosby and his team and for everyone that has made this possible today. Thank you for including me.
And so go to the other side.
Thank you, Marlon. Now we'll ask Dr. Cosby if he'll come back with special acknowledgments.
Oh, okay.
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge all of our trustees who are present. Would you stand at this time, all of our trustees? Put your hand. Our provost is here, Dr. Barbara Young. Would you stand, please? Dr. Barbara Young. Thank you. Any other faculty present? Would you stand? Faculty. Okay. And of course, my wife, Barnetta, who was on the committee, the renovation committee. Would you stand at this time, Barnetta? Along with Ursula, I'm going to comment on this in a moment, but also that maternal influence, my wonderful mother who nurtured me to be the man that I am. Miss Connie Cosby, would you stand at this time? This program is called Reversing the Neighborhood Effect, and that phrase, neighborhood effect, and thank you so much, Evolve 502. I hope we really heard what's going on. That is remarkable. Mary Gwen Wheeler, would you stand, please? Thank you so much for your work, your dedication, your service. That phrase, neighborhood effect, is a phrase that was coined by William Julius Wilson, the preeminent sociologist at Harvard. And based on his study and research, he says that the neighborhood that you grow up in has a tremendous effect on achievement. In fact, he says that students who grow up in distressed neighborhoods, like the neighborhood that we're in, 40210 zip code, which is the poorest neighborhood zip code in Kentucky, where the median
income, there's no such thing as wealth in this neighborhood, but the median income is $12,000. According to William Julius Wilson, when you are in communities like California, the effect of being in a community like this is that it literally holds you back 2 grades. To understand what type of neighborhood this is, all you have to do is just look around you and look across the street and look at all the boarded up houses, house after house after house after house that has been boarded up. So just think about it. Right here in the middle of this community, literally right across the street, is a college that is accredited by the United States Department of Education. And William Julius Wilson says the way you break up the neighborhood effect is one word: exposure. It is impossible to be what you never see. But now, because Simmons is here, right here in this neighborhood, the kids across the street will see kids with backpacks, and they will have the curiosity to want to come across the street and say, what's going on over there? And if those kids who look like me can go to college, and if those kids who look like me can connect with people outside this community and get jobs, and especially if they know their colleagues are over here and they've been able to rise above the neighborhood effect, then that gives this community what every distressed community needs, and that is hope. There is no way that we could have done what we have done at Simmons College without the generosity of philanthropy and foundations. I mentioned Mark Lynn and his generosity, but the Gaines Foundation, Barry Allen is here, and I've asked that he would stand, because in the giving, in the allocation of gifts by the Gaines Foundation, Simmons College is in the top 5 of all gifts given by the Gaines Foundation to institutions. Simmons is in the upper tier, and that's because they believe in us. Would you stand, Mr. Gorman? And also, Mr. Russ Cox, thank you so very much for your generous donation, your partnership with Norton's Hospital. Let's give him a hand, please. Brown Foreman, for their contribution, their gift to Simmons College of Kentucky. Thank you so much, Ralph and Jill Horn, and all of you have done. I think Jill, yes, there she is. Thank you. Let's give it up for Brown, please. Mason Rummel and the Brown Foundation for their contribution to Simmons College. Thank you very much. And then the Humana Foundation, Walter Woods. Thank you, Humana Foundation. Park Community Credit Union. Thank you so much. And individual donors. Raymond Smith, Park Community Credit Union. Individual donors, Mr. John Peterson, and our friend of Roundsville. Thank you so much. Bob, would you stand up, Bob? This time, this is Bob Roundsville. Thank you so much. Just kind of fun.
Thank you, Dr. Crosby. I do want to take a moment to highlight at this time that we are here today because of the completion of an extensive building and campus renovation and restoration project valued at an estimate of $1.8 million. More will be said very shortly about the gracious man and his family pledged funds to make this possible. You'll note that there is a vacant lot behind this building. There were 2 houses that were dilapidated, that had been torn down. In addition to that, this building has been completely renovated. The building has a new roof, waterproofing measures, has a, water source heat pump system. So what we have is a water source heat pump system that is the premier means of cooling education space, and we are grateful. There are attic and basement features of those equipment pieces. We have new electrical service that has been run into the building. You'll see on the corner of this building. The building has been rewired, re-insulated, new sprinkler systems, new lighting on the top and lower floors, energy efficient automatic light switches, new flooring, completely renovated restrooms, new plumbing, and many other amenities that you can see when you get the tour that will make this facility again suitable for its expanding academic program offerings and student life activities for Simmons. I especially want to acknowledge today a great friend who has endeared himself to us in the person of Mr. Daniel Zink, who is the owner of Louisville Office Furniture, who recently learned about the great work of Simmons due to the protests that had occurred in our downtown area, and his engagement with family members who were part of that. He wanted to know more about how to get some of the belongings of our students who were in the protests back to them. And he talked to me one day, and we talked about Simmons, and he said, you know what? I want Simmons College of Kentucky to have what other schools have always been able to have. And I want to donate furnishings for the building. So when we go inside, you will find new chairs, desks, desk chairs, tables, and other furnishings that were donated by Mr. Dan Zink. I would like for him and his wife if they would please stand right here. Let's give them a rousing round of applause. Thank you, Dan. Thank you so very much. I want to thank my assistants, Mr. Tyree Linton and Mr. Sherman Morrow, for their patient and diligent work in taking care of so many details to get this day ready. I want to again appreciate our provost and our finance team for the fine way in which they have served this project with the accounting measures. And I want to take special time now to acknowledge Mr. A.J. Bossy, Mr. Marty Mostart, and Mr. William Greer. I'd like for them, if they would come at this time and stand with me. Mr. Barney Barnett was involved in the initial phases of launching into the renovation projects, not only here, but also at our main campus. And I was going back through some old emails this morning and saw, and tears well up in my eyes as I remembered the various settings where we were beginning to plan. Dr. Lynn was there, and we talked about and dreamed, and it was just a wonderful thing that he recommended to us, Mr. A.J. Bossy, and you all have been a jewel to work with. I can't describe to you all the many phone calls, the ways in which they have helped us to save, and their wisdom. And I just want to ask all of us at this time to congratulate them for a job well done in partnering and working with Simmons.
The hardest job I have ever had is being the president of Simmons College of Kentucky. The most rewarding job I've ever had has been being the president of Simmons College of Kentucky. Being the president of Simmons is like flying an airplane in the sky while you're building it at the same time. And Mark Lynn is totally right. It is only by the grace of God that this school has been sustained for 141 years. And the reason it has been sustained is that historically there has always been people who've had resources who believed in us. When I became the president of Simmons, January the 15th, 2005, Martin Luther King's birthday, I went to David Jones Sr., the founder of Humana, and I said to him, David, I'm the president of Simmons College of Kentucky, and we're located right on 18th and Dumedale Street in a building that is so dysfunctional that only one floor is usable because the bottom level is mold infested. And by the way, David, our school has no money. And in addition to that, we're not accredited. But David, I see something. What I see is this, is that slaves who founded the school in 1871 bequeathed to our city a gift. And it's a gift that you can't get anymore. And that is, they have bequeathed to us history. Because Simmons, even though we had to play its music with just one brochure, still played its music. It never closed. And because Simmons never closed, if we can get this school accredited, Simmons can join a select fraternity of colleges called Historical Black Colleges and Universities. And David, also, I have no idea what I'm doing because I don't know anything about higher education. I'm a clergyman. And David looked at me and said, I'll tell you what, I believe it can happen. And David Jones and his wife wrote a check to a black man who has no experience in higher education to go to a school that has no money in the poorest zip code in the state of Kentucky. They wrote a check, David and Betty Jones, for $1 million and said to me, Kevin, you do what you think is right. And it was that $100, and one of the happiest days of my life was when I went to David and said to him, David, mission accomplished, schools accredited, Simmons has done something that no other college done in American history. It is not only returned to its original campus, it's accredited and it is now at HBCU. This has never happened before. David believed in us. Another man who believed in us because it takes money to sustain colleges. You know that. HBCUs do not have endowments. There are 101 HBCUs. Together, the 101 HBCU endowments together is about $2 billion. And when you take off the top 5 HBCUs, like Howard and Morgan State and Morehouse and Spelman, you take off the top 5, and just consider 96. Those 96 HBCUs together have an endowment all together of $500,000. Put that in perspective, Berea College has an endowment of $1 billion. And one college in Madison County, Berea, has a larger endowment than 96 HBCUs across this country. And that is because of the enormous wealth gap that exists between blacks and whites. I went to Barney Barnett, who is a staunch Republican. I'm a staunch Democrat. And we used to talk about politics, and he would say, well, Kevin, the problem with you is that when you say Republican, it ends with 2 words, I can't. So the Democrats use the word rats. But he said to me, a Republican white man said to a Democrat black man, I believe in you too. And before he became the chairman of the board, or before he became a board member at Simmons, I cannot tell you how many times I went to Allgood and said to him, I said, we're kind of short this month. Do you think you can do something? And he would jokingly, with his dry humor, say, do you need some peanut butter? But he would take me back in that room and he'd get me some peanut butter with swirl and jelly and peanut butter. But then he would always write a check. And he'd say, here it is. And one day he called me to his and said, Kevin, here's a check for the school. And when I saw it, my instinct, I was so excited, I did something I know that shocked him, and I don't know if Nick remembers it. But I saw that check and I got so excited that I literally kissed him on his jaw. I said, oh, come here. Because he had a heart, not just for Simmons, but for West Louisville. You can't restrict his heart just to this school. He was concerned about West Louisville, the West End School, the Urban League, all of the institutions. I asked him to become the chairman of the board of Simmons. And one day he called me, he said, I want to meet with you, Kevin. We met in my office. He said, Kevin, I want to give the school $4 million. And let me say this. That perhaps is the largest single gift that has been given privately to an HBCU in history. The first. Later, Johnson would give $40 million to Morehouse students, but he gave it to the students, he didn't give it to the institution. This may be one of the largest gifts ever given. And then we got the call that from Ursula that Barney had transitioned. And it was a dark day in our city and for Simmons County. But the family, his family said, we will make sure that what Barney wanted to happen will happen. And they made sure it happened. And we're here because of Barney Barnett, because of Ursula, because of me. And like I said earlier, don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to succeed in things that don't matter. Education matters. And for this reason, I would like to ask and to represent Barney's wife, his partner, Jillian Barnett. I'm going to ask if Nick, in fact the whole family, if you would come so we can say thank you to all of you. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Crosby. I really appreciate it. This is obviously a bittersweet but wonderful moment. Barney was a great man, cared tremendously about the community, and as Dr. Crosby said, the West End. But he was not only an incredibly generous guy, he was a man of action. And the work that he put into kind of getting these projects going, we felt like when he left us, he was just getting started. So I really want to thank somebody especially here, my wife, Ursula. who has done the most tremendous job of kind of carrying on his legacy, everything this project done, spending many and many days down here working with everybody, and love you, Hunter. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We're always so grateful to Dr. Cosby. He gave Bonnie the best send-off that probably anyone can imagine. And it feels really good to have his gift 100% complete. It feels great. When it first happened, we made an endowment of $1 million at the Louisville Community Foundation, and it's called the Barney Barnett Fund for Simmons College. And hopefully that will continue to grow, and it's the endowment for Simmons. And the other $3 million, as Dr. Smith said, 1.8 went here, but it got spread all over campus. There's a new kitchen at the A&L. We worked in the Nest. I worked with Mama Kay on the Heritage Room when I first met Mama Kay, because Dr. Cosby wanted me to help with dance uniforms. The money just went everywhere, and I think we really stretched it out in a good way. And I'm grateful for the friends that I made at Simmons. I know I came in really strong, and it was hard for me to stay in my lane, but I just saw the potential. I mean, Barney introduced us to Simmons, but I fell in love with it, and I really look forward to the day that the students will be here all the time and enjoy it, and the community sees that it's a college. All Barney wanted was for people to have an education and a trade and to own their own home so that they can pass things down. You can't work your way out of poverty. You have to have a degree or a trade and something that you own that you can leave. So he loves it. This building is called the Barnett Campus, but mostly he cared about education. He never wanted praise. He flew under the radar. And I'm just so happy that we did it, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Now, we are building on the side. 3, 2, 1. And it reads, in honor of the churches of the General Association of Baptists in Kentucky, the oldest Black Baptist state convention in America, as of August 1865, whose sacrifices sustained Simmons University amidst decades of racial injustice and inequities in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and whose valiant efforts made it possible for Simmons to be designated as one of America's historic HBCU on April 13th, 2015. Reverend Dr. Kevin W. Cosby, President, Reverend Dr. Samuel C. Tolbert, Jr., Board Chair and President of the National Baptist Convention of America International, and Reverend Dr. Bernard Creighton, Moderator of the General Association of Baptists in Kentucky, Building Restoration and Rededication, October 26, 2020. Let's give God praise for this day.